What's happening? It's K-Mac. We're at the Black Canyon of the Gunnison's National Park, where you'll find the deepest, steepest, and narrowest canyons in all of North America. And that reminded me of how deep, steep, and narrow the specialized knowledge needed to create good infrastructure as code can be. And that's why so many of the conversations we've had with DevOps teams has been around how do you remove that bottleneck of the specialized knowledge to deploy infrastructure resources and make it easier for developers, other lines of business to get the resources that they need. And what this means is that they have a black box infrastructure vending machine, if you will. And this is especially important as you scale infrastructure as code usage throughout your organization. Today I want to show you how to do that through N0. Let's jump right in. Okay, so here we are on the N0 dashboard. As we're going through this self-service walkthrough, I want you to think about this from the perspective of David the developer, whom you, the DevOps or platform or SRE team, have allowed access to certain projects, templates, and permissions to enable him to create the environments that he needs within those developer-friendly guardrails. So as David, I am part of the Acme Energy Company organization. The organization is our top layer hierarchy in N0. And I have access to 4 projects that I am a part of. These might be the teams. In this case, we have a core payments non-production project, a core payments production project, as well as a greenfield dev and a TerraGrunt non-production project. In this case, we want to create new resources for the non-production project. An environment in N0 is not a dev, test, staging, or production environment. It's simply a deployment managed by N0. When David the developer wants to create a new environment, he's greeted by the project templates appropriate for that project. These are the templates based on the infrastructure as code files that you as the DevOps team have made available to David and that project. As David, I want to create some new front-end servers powered by EC2 instances. I can click review code and see the Git repo hosting the files comprising this template. Let's go ahead and hit run now. This is David self-serving the environment that he needs. If you, the DevOps team, are going to be making changes to the underlying infrastructure as code files, you may want David the developer to check redeploy in every push to the Git branch. David might also want drift detection to see if his infrastructure resources have drifted from your configuration code. As the DevOps team, you might administrate that David the developer can only create ephemeral environments. In this case, you'll see the destroy environment section with a TTL or a time to live, and David can select from the drop-down menu the options you've made available to him. This ensures that David the developer doesn't leave unused resources running in the cloud, and that if he needs that resource for longer, he'll have to redeploy it intentionally. Here we can see the variables that you've made available to that project, environment, and template. For example, the Volt token is inherited from the organization layer and is a sensitive value that David cannot change or see. And the VPC ID is inherited from the project layer and is a read-only variable, cannot be overridden. The instance type, however, is set at the template level, which is where we're currently at, and David the developer can select from a drop-down list of options you've made available to him. Perhaps we need a T3A large for this particular deployment. This particular type of drop-down is especially useful as you're right-sizing the resources you make available to your consumers. David the developer is happy with these settings, so let's go ahead and hit run. We can see that our deployment is beginning shortly. Here we can inspect the results of our Terraform plan. Now perhaps David is familiar with Terraform, perhaps not, but either way he can opt for a more human-readable or a prettified version of the changes that we're creating or destroying in our Terraform plan. All of these look good to me, so I can go ahead and approve, and now our deployment will resume shortly. That being said, you as the DevOps team can set approval permissions based on your organization's governance and compliance policies. In this use case, for example, David can deploy and approve his own deployments in the non-production core payments project, but when we go to the core payments production project, David can create a new environment but cannot approve his own deployments. So in this case, David can approve and deploy in non-production but must have approval from the appropriate team member in the production project. And just like that, our deployment is completed, and David the developer has provisioned the resources that he needs at the push of a button using a self-service catalog that you, the DevOps team, have made available to him. The Gunnison River at the bottom of this canyon has a speed of 2,570 cubic feet per second. Imagine the velocity you'd enable your developers to achieve if you gave them the capability to have self-service. Until next time, K-Mac out.